So, I just rewatched this again because I haven't seen it basically when I saw this back in 2011 in the theater because and then I saw it once after shortly when it came out on DVD. Watch it again, and that's pretty much it. I probably haven't seen that film in a few years. I wanted to forget about it, but since I reviewed my 25th anniversary, or no, actually, no, my 35th anniversary revisit review of my all-time favorite horror film, John Carpenter's The Thing. So I just rewatched it again. I just wanted to break this DVD in half. Really wanted to. But yeah. This is a piece of trash. That's what it is. This is pure freaking garbage. I'm not gonna raise my voice on this because otherwise I'm just gonna break it. So, but I can still do this though. I can still do that though. So we got the Thing, 2011, the prequel, which why use the same title as this? They use the same title. Which why just couldn't they use like how it was based on the short story called Who Goes There? That would have been a better title. But probably people wouldn't want to. If people would have thought the title's like, what's that film about? Oh, it's related to The Thing. Because that's what it's based on, a short story. Who Goes There? I don't know why they just could have named it that instead of stealing the same title. So yeah, I saw this at the theater back in 2011 because I was curious about it. But back then I probably didn't know better on some things, but it's still okay because it's which, by the way, why I keep on going so much? Because I had nothing to say about this film. I always just keep on making excuses for everything. It's just why bother? This film's just making me brain dead. That's what it is. It's making me lose my ability to speak properly. But as I was saying, I saw this back in 2011. I saw this in the theater. This is not, and when I mentioned like a couple of years ago I was going to do this, so I'm doing it. And I said, well, when I reviewed my 35th anniversary movie review of this is an insult, I called it, and this film is still an insult. This film is a classic masterpiece in the genre of horror. The master himself by John Carpenter. Well, the memory of this will always live on to a great many horror fans. But to many horror fans for this, they've probably forgotten about it. Then they probably thought this was a piece of trash as well. And if anyone likes this film, it's perfectly fine. No grudge against you or anything, but I just won't agree with it. The film opened up, it bombed, which deservingly so. About 35 million or so, then made 27 million. It flopped. But yeah, and for some reason this has a 6.2 on IMDb. I have no idea why. It has a 35% Rotten Tomatoes for good reason, but there's lower. And honestly, this film should not have been made. It's a prequel that no one asked for. Who in the right mind thought this would be? Who's like, oh, we gotta tell the story about what happened at the Norwegian camp? Who cares? Why can't we, in this film? Why can't we just leave it as a mystery? Let our imaginations, oh, what happened to this place? How did all this stuff go down? But nowadays they just want to they just want to demystify stuff that for old films like this film, and especially now with the Alien films, you know, demystify what happened, you know, with the engineers and all that to the spaceship from the first Alien. Got to demystify that. And we got to demystify what happened to the Norwegian cap in this, which we didn't need to. So yeah, this film is pure trash. I don't know why I can say it, but it is. It's not worth talking about it. This is a prequel that did not need to be made, and especially it also looks like a remake. Because probably for how the way it's filmed, it looks like a remake, but it's not. It's a prequel. And this guy, who I absolutely know nothing about, this guy Matthjis van Heijningen, which is for some reason it sounds like the beer Heineken Jr. The cast is pretty much forgettable. The characters are forgettable as well. It stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who we just talked about, like, when she played the daughter of John McClane and Live Free or Die Hard, and a little bit in Good Day to Die Hard. So, and she's Mary Elizabeth Winstead in other films as well. She's a lead. As this character Kate Lloyd. She's a paleontologist, which they said that they didn't want to make her character like McCready and like Kurt Russell's character and this one. So they want to make her like a Ripley. That's what it is. Because any lead woman in a sci-fi horror film is obviously going to be related to like a Ripley type of character. And so it also stars Joel Edgerton. He's this American pilot, which he kind of looks like he's trying to be like a Kurt Russell character. Audrey McCready, he's an American helicopter pilot. And Joel Edgerton, he's been recently been starring in a few critically acclaimed horror suspense films recently. I have not seen that film. It Comes Out at Night, which that film got a lot of praise. He's in it, and he also starred and directed that thriller film with Jason Bateman, The Gift. He got a lot of praise for that film. But this film, and also also another thing about Joel Edgerton, he voiced Metal Beak in Legend of the Guardians. That's another thing I remember him from. The whole thing is just the rest of the cast is pretty much forgettable, and I guess this guy who is also a pilot that's a friend of Joel Edgerton in the film. He's the guy who, I can't pronounce his name though, because his name is freaking long. It's hard to say what his name is. He played Killer Croc in Suicide Squad. That's him right there next to Joel Edgerton. That's the guy who played Killer Croc in Suicide Squad. The rest of the cast I don't care who they are. And I probably hardly remember their character names as way. Now, why? That's another thing. What this film I mentioned in my revisit review of the thing, that with this film, John Carpenter, he wanted to do a sequel, like somewhere in the mid-2000s. He wanted to do a sequel to this film. Well, why am I holding this film? This film. He wanted to do a sequel to this film. He wanted to bring Kurt Russell back in as well as Keith David. I would have loved to see that, but Universal, they said no. So they decided to do a prequel, which on the trivia says the producers convinced Universal Studios to allow them to create a prequel instead of a remake, as they felt Carpenter's film was already perfect, so remaking it would be like painting a mustache on a Mona Lisa. Well, this film does kind of look like a remake, even though it's a prequel. Why they decided not to do a sequel, I have no idea why, because John Carpenter, he wanted to do one. And the prequel, the original title was going to be called The Thing Begins. Now, I'm just yawning because this is just... This film is making me fall asleep because it is late, but this film was making me fall asleep. I don't know what they were thinking. We want to do a sequel that John Carpenter wanted to do with Kurt Russell and Keith David, but no, they decided to do a prequel. That's one thing that also makes me mad about this film. I just can't believe prequel is better than doing a sequel. And plus, like I said, who cares about the Norwegian camp? You know, which is just, can't we just leave that we couldn't just leave it a mystery about what happened. And that's why I said this film just sucks big time. That's why I put in the title of this review. Sucks. This film is freaking sucks. So yeah, now about what I'm doing, I'm just gonna keep going on why this film is just such. So yeah, the film opens. It's you know I'll sadly say one of the best things about this film is they used, you know how they were the original in the 90s, how the way the Universal title would show up. Feel how it was for the 90s look for the Universal title. That's sad to say was like one of the best things because it's Universal. They want to add one of the old titles in there for Universal, and it takes place, like I said, it's 1982, which doesn't feel like it's 1982 in this film compared to when you watch these. When you watch this film and you watch this film when it's 1982, it doesn't feel like it's 1982. And it opens up with Norwegians. They're tracing a signal to somewhere in the middle of Antarctica, and these Norwegians are speaking in their language. And this when I saw this when I first how this scene opened up, this opening scene, I was like this. That was literally the face where I was in with this opening because it opens up with these Norwegians. They're telling a sex joke. They're speaking our language, with thanks to the subtitles of theirs. They're saying that one guy is telling a joke that how a boy walked in with his mom and dad having sex, and then he runs away. The dad falls into his room and he sees that he's having sex with his grandma. And it's like, oh, it's funny. It's not so funny when it's your mom. That's how the joke is. I was like, that's how this is going to open up. With that. And then their vehicle crashes down into this crevice, and that's where they find the spaceship. And then it tries to do the same thing with the opening title of John Carpenter's The Thing, how the way the title shows up. It tries to do that, but in a much weaker way. The original still looks better for the opening title of it. And then goes to Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, who plays Kate Lloyd. Probably felt like probably to make it indicate this is 1982. She's wearing the old headphones, those old cassette players and all that. And the funny thing is, she's listening to Men at Work. Who can it be now? Because if you're supposed to get it, who can it be now? Who can it be now? Which is why I like that song. That's not sad. The best part of the film is the classic song "Men at Work" from Men at Work. Who can it be now? Who can it be now? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, because who can it be now? And especially she's wearing old headphones. That's supposed to indicate why this film takes place in 1982. So she gets talked. She should be part of this expedition team in Antarctica. So she goes there. You have your team of Norwegians and a few other American ones, like Joel Edgerton and his two other guys, American pilots, and this young guy who's also assistant scientist to this Norwegian scientist. And by the way, the guy who's a young scientist, that's Peter Freakout 10. A while back he did a review for Dumb and Dumberer when Harry Met Lloyd. So Peter Freakout 10, if you watch this, the young guy who's like the young American who's working with this guy named Sanders, the Norwegian scientist. That's the guy who plays Lloyd Christmas in the Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd. That's the guy who plays young Lloyd Christmas. Is this guy? So Peter Freakout 10, if you watch that's this guy who played Lloyd Christmas in Harry Dumb and Dumber is in this. And I'll get to his character, what happens to him later. So yeah, they find the spaceship. Just kind of makes you think about the AVP, you know, when they find something underneath the ice somewhere in the Arctic. But that's kind of, but still. And also with Kate's character. Well, Mary Elizabeth's character named Kate Lloyd. She's kind of useless because she was brought in to look how this alien and what it is, or the spaceship and all that, or whatever. That's basically it. And then she even says like, "Well, I guess you don't need me anymore." So apparently they bring her character for nothing, just say a couple of things, and it's like, "Oh, I guess you don't need me anymore. I guess my work here is done." So yeah, I don't know why they brought her in anyway, just for that. But whatever, which is probably for us to make her probably just put another for her to be the hero later. So yeah, they dig the thing up out of the ice, they bring it back, and you know they start celebrating about the discovery, and then Joel Edgerton's friend, he goes down, which also for some reason, yeah, how this thing breaks out because first of all, they just leave the big block of ice to thaw out. Because it's being thawed out, it's defrosting. I mean, shouldn't they just have something in there to keep the thing frozen, or I don't know. Maybe I guess they just leave the whole thing to thaw out because they're stupid. But and they also, even with the scientist guy named Sanders, that's what the guy's name is. He's a douchebag because when they bring the specimen in, you know, he says, "I want to take a tissue sample," and even Mary Elizabeth Winstead says, "Is that a good idea?" And he says, "Yes, I do." He says he shouldn't do that then. And the guy is being a douchebag to her. It's like when he takes her out, like, "Don't ever contradict me in front of those people." So the guy is a douchebag. Because you know you ask her to bring her along. You're not gonna take her advice. No, you're just like, "Oh, I want to take a tissue sample. No matter what, I'm not gonna listen to you." So they got that guy, and then like I said before, the Joel Edgerton's friend, he goes in there. This is so stupid. Just you think that the thing is gonna break out when he's leaning forward towards closer to the ice block. But no, it doesn't do that, because a guy pops over behind and says, "Boo!" So that's the first jump scare of the film, was when a guy who scares him by saying, "Boo!" And then after he was about to leave, then the thing jumps out of the ice, and bad CGI. And that's something, the one thing that sucks big time about this film, the CGI monsters are god-awful to watch. It's so god-awful. It's like some of the worst CGI I've seen. And apparently on the features, they wanted to do, well, even on the trivia, they were going to do animatronic practical stuff though, but they said like computer-generated images were used to add elements to the animatronics, such as tentacles, or in some cases to replace the entire animatronic if they didn't behave conveniently. So if the animatronics were wrong, they just glossed it over with CGI anyway. Because there wasn't a feature with a creature effect appears later in the film was animatronic, but didn't look anything like it because they glossed it over with CGI when I saw it on the screen, and the CGI was so awful. It's like some of the worst CGI I've seen in a film. Even though there has been worse though, but still. So the CGI alien bursts out of the ice. They go looking for it. Then it takes one guy, like a tentacle goes right through him and drags him back. And it's a lot of time when it's dark. Once again, I had to turn off all my lights in my room because it's dark, can't see what's going on. And then they burn it. And then they examine it, autopsy and all that, and they find, okay, it's a good practical effect when the thing is burned alive, and when they look inside and they find the guy being digested, being replicated. Okay, it's a good effect, but it doesn't mean crap because the rest of the CG in this film is awful in this film. And Kate, she finds like a titanium plate because the guy broke his arm, so the thing can't replicate metal. It's inorganic, so it can't replicate that. So it took it out of it, and then one guy, Joel Edgerton, they're gonna take this guy out of here because the guy who solved the death of the previous guy, they were gonna take him out of there and give him the helicopter, and Kate. She's in the bathroom, she finds teeth fillings on the floor, and sees a shower of blood, and as they were taking off, she tries to flag him down, and Joel Edgerton sees her, and they're going to land, and the other American guy who was also with the pilot, tells the guy, everything's fine, and instead of being nonchalant, not being, like, low profile and nonchalant, the thing just changes. Like I said, bad CGI, horrible CGI. This thing, face splits in half, and the whole the chest part rips open. Like a million of these little tentacles just burst out of the guy, go towards the guy. That's this awful CGI. I mean, it's a no-brainer when you compare effects to this film and this film. It's obviously a no-brainer. What effects in this film looks better? Nothing practical for this thing. Yeah, so the awful CGI of the guy, face split in half, and the whole inner chest, and then all these little tentacles just start bursting out, and then the helicopter loses control and it flies off in the distance. And Kate explains that no one should leave the camp because someone can be someone is already replicated. Tells us about the teeth fillings. This film is starting to put me asleep already because this is so awful. I'm starting to fall asleep from this. Because I also sound bored as well because this film was boring. It wasn't suspenseful. Which that's one other thing about this person from Fox TV Kansas City. Suspenseful and frightening. Nothing was suspenseful or frightening I saw. Disagree with that. And then this other woman that was with Kate gets her alone in this room, and then once again, awful transformation, awful CGI. Goes after her, she runs, then it kills this one guy, like it stabs him through, and then this guy who is the only guy who doesn't speak English, named Lars. And which we find out that he's the guy who's the shooter at the beginning of this film. That's what it's revealed to. He's the shooter at the beginning of the thing. So he burns it some more. And also they steal a whole bunch of things from this film. Like after they burn it, they dig a snow pit with Bennings. Like with Bennings in this film. After they burn him, they dig a pit and they burn the remains some more. Like they do the same thing with this. They dig a snow pit and they douse it with gasoline, and then they burn some more. And they were going to do the blood test, but of course they couldn't copy. They were going to copy this one, so they decided to do something. So they decided to do something else because the blood test it all got burned. So they had to think of something else. And in order to tell who's human is teeth fillings. Remember the teeth fillings that was from earlier? Because remember, the thing cannot cannot copy inorganic material. Otherwise, it can't copy metal. Because otherwise, how it explains how that metal titanium from the previous guy, how it got out of him, because it can't replicate the metal, and it can't replicate teeth fillings either, so it spit them out. So here, in order to tell you're human, is that if you have teeth fillings in your mouth, you're human. So it shows the three of the guys have fillings, including Kate. She shows herself. So like pretty much the guys who has like teeth fillings are pretty much all the guys who have big beards. Like the guy who doesn't speak English, and this other guy who has a big beard, and another guy, and the other people who have like they're like including the guy. Well, 4 other guys will say he don't have fillings, and they were gonna get Joel Edgerton because him and his friends they come back. They're a little suspicious because no one could have came back all this way in this harsh weather. So they lock him up in a shack outside, and they were gonna go get him for the test, but they dug their way out, and they get the guy Lars, but they don't kill him because otherwise that guy comes up at the end of the film. So that guy disappears. Securely, they knocked him out, I think. So. And as they're fighting amongst each other, it's who to trust, and then Joel Edgerton, the other guy, they get in, and they're face to face with each other with flamethrowers. Drop it, put it down, and how the guy is named. I'll say Killer Croc, because that's what the guy mostly recently played, Killer Croc. Killer Croc, he shoots the guy with the flamethrower, shoots him, but he also shoots the tank, so it's going to ignite, explodes, the guy flies. So they pick him up, and they bring him back to the rec room. And of course, also another thing they take from this is that, okay, the Joel Edgerton has a flamethrower, and it doesn't work. Like Kurt Russell's didn't work, when Palmer was transforming, it wasn't working. They did the same thing here. Except the guy they're carrying, the guy's arms falls off, and a spider hand, a spider hand, attacks this one guy, one of the guys with the big beard, like this. And then the guy transforms. Once again, bad CGI. Listen, this is the guy who was supposed to be the guy on the ground. That's supposed to be like animatronic though, but it's just badly glossed CGI. Because it has a tentacle. It comes out of it and it stabs the. What's the guy's name? Eric Christian Olsen. That's the guy from Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd. The guy who played Lloyd Christmas. He gets stabbed in the stomach. And then the Joel Edgerton's friend starts shooting at it, and he gets stabbed by the tentacle too. And then it starts badly transformation CGI. It goes over to the guy, Eric Christian Olsen, and this is where it becomes a creature that was found. That was found outside the Norwegian camp by Russell and the Doc. It becomes that two-faced creature because that guy who's transformation, he smooched his face against Eric Christian Olsen. His face gets smooshed together with the other guy's face, and then it walks off. I'm smiling because I'm just like, this is all pointless, why? This film just sucks big time. This is like one of the worst prequels I've seen, if not the worst prequel I've seen ever. But this is a pointless, unwanted prequel. I'm just watching this whole thing. Is just that okay? I don't care about this whole entire story. It could just left it as a mystery as it was for the first 82 film. But yeah, getting back, the guy who had the spider hand on his mouth, you can see like his hand is kind of merged with the thing. It's like his hands merged like this with the spider hand that's on his mouth. So, and it's kind of like the guy who's like Windows. After he gets his head bitten by the Palmer creature, and Caruso burns him. It's basically this guy who's like Windows. that's what he is, almost like a copy of Windows, except they had no hand creature. So, but still, burns him, and then the Joel Egerton's friend dies, and she has to burn that guy too, just in case. And that two-faced creature attacks the Sanders doctor, and also that one guy. It was like a guy who was like a British guy. On the feature, it's a deleted scene. On the features, that's the guy who, when the Doc and McCready in the '82 film, they find a guy sat down where the radio is, throat sliced, wrist sliced, blood is frozen up. This is this guy. This British guy, because he sounds British. In the deleted, when the monster's attacking, you see him standing around, and the next thing by the film ends, the guy is already dead. But in the if you watch the deleted scene on here, it shows him slicing his neck and then his wrist, which is why they could have kept it in the film. It has to be a deleted scene, but still. And so now the two of them are on their own. The lights goes out, and they find one of the other spider hands. And this is where Joel Egerton, he uses the axe on the door with a blood splat, and she burns that hand creature, and she's like, don't touch it. Leave it as it is. Of course, he leaves it as is, otherwise, how Kurt would have found it in the first film. Because, they find the axe in the door with the blood on it. Which, understandable, because if you touch the blood, it's contaminated blood, so that's why she's telling him not to touch it, leave it as it is. But still, it's just, of course, you have to leave it there because for McCree to find it on the door in this film. So, and then the two-faced creature starts attacking, and she lights it on fire. It's like now this is her becoming the Ripley character, or Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She burns it, of course. This has to be outside, where they find the Doc and McCready. They find it outside, so she burns it. And even the face, but bad CGI. Once again, the face looks so awful. Both the faces when it's burned doesn't even look like the faces from the '82 film. It's just the face, the burned CGI face doesn't even resemble like the one in the '82 film. And they see that the copy of the Sanders guy driving off, and they drive back to the spaceship, which is also which is kind of mind-boggling, is that the whole time the spaceship was working. So, in the opening of this film, you see the flying saucer fly to Earth. So when it crashed, it was still working. It's been working this whole time. So, one of the guys, it couldn't just, replicate one of the guys and just drive off to the flying spaceship to where it was still working all this time. Why wasting all this time at the camp? So, I don't know. It's just stupid. So, so Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she falls in. And Joel Egerton, he doesn't do anything in the film. He has a flamethrower, but he doesn't use it. Then Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Kate, she finds a computer. It's like that game where you try to shape these blocks together. You see all these things shift together, which is like that game. I forget what the name is called. And they get this, once again, bad, awful CGI of this alien creature with the Sanders guy's face on it. Once again, awful CGI. And the face splits open, and she's attacked, and then one of the ladies to know that she throws a grenade, which I'm surprised she didn't give a one-liner like Kurt Russell did at the end of the film. Kurt Russell said, "Yeah, fuck you too," and throws the dynamite. I'm surprised she didn't say no line while throwing the grenade at the thing. I'm surprised they didn't take something like that. Give her a line like that. Otherwise, they would say it would be a copy of what McCree was. So she throws the grenade, it blows up, and it shuts the whole spaceship down. And Joel Egerton, he's there, but he doesn't use a flamethrower, so he didn't do anything with it. And then they get to the snowmobile, and Kate is asking Carter, that's the guy's name, Carter. He's like, how I knew you were a human when you came back? You had an earring. because he apparently had an earring on his left ear, but the guy went like this. She's like, no, it was your other ear. So it's indicating that he is a monster, a thing in disguise. And the guy says, Kate, no! And she burns him. I guess he is a thing because you hear the monster cries. The guy's being burned. So I guess he is a thing. And then it just ends with her sitting in the snowmobile thinking what to do. And then, as the credits are going, the helicopter from this film comes in, the pilot comes in, and the guy who the Carter and the other guy they knocked out, he's alive. He starts shooting at the guy and tells him to open his mouth for the fillings. And there's also, the whole time you hear John Carpenter's theme playing, and the dog comes out, which, by the way, they only had one dog in the film. And you see, like, when you get to the thing, the pen, the whole thing was covered in blood, so I guess he must have killed the dog and somehow replicated it. So that's why. I don't know how. It just showed the dog and the pen. The next thing it shows that the whole thing is covered in blood. So I guess it must have killed or ate it, whatever, and then still replicated it. But it shows the dog running away. The guy's shooting at it. Starts the helicopter, and then this is when this film ends and this film begins. And I guess for a brief shot, it kind of showed like it was like the '82 film, but because the guy shooting at. Which, by the way, it's kind of weird that the guy who doesn't look like anything but the Norwegian guy who was shooting in this film doesn't even look like the guy at all. Because this guy in this film had his beard was like black, but I guess in this one the guy is like had much more browner color. I don't know if I'm nitpicking it though, but still, it doesn't look like the guy from this film who was shooting at the dog. So yeah, the guy's shooting at, and that's when this film begins. This film begins. I'm just keeping my composure. I didn't want to throw it because probably everybody's asleep by now, so I'm keeping my composure not to throw this thing, create more noise. I'm still going to do... Didn't make that much noise, I said. This film sucks big time. It is one of the worst horror films I have seen. Probably since I saw it. Now I just watched it again. Just now, because I rewatched it before doing this review. It is one of the worst horror films I've seen past 5 years. Because 2011, 2017, 6 years technically, yeah. This film is just insulting to me. For my all-time favorite horror film, it's a huge insult to me. I love this film to death. It's a masterpiece of a film. It's a film that did not need to be made. The whole prequel was useless and pointless, and we didn't need to know what happened at the Norwegian camp. This is plain simple. We didn't need to not know. Keep it as a mystery. Let us use our imaginations of what happened. But no. They just want to, instead of doing a sequel, we get a prequel. And I still call bullshit on that. It is bullshit. I would have loved for John Carpenter to come back with Kurt Russell and Keith David. I wanted to see a sequel to that. I longed to see a sequel. And now we're never going to get it now because like John Carpenter he hasn't done one over a decade now. Well, The Ward, it's not his best film. He hasn't done a film since Ghost of Mars. That was 9 years. But now, since then, it's going on now 7 years. He still hasn't made a film. I'm just so stupefied about this. How this one got made. Positives. I mean, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's trying. She's doing her best, but nothing to her character except being a Ripley ripoff. Joel Edgerton, same thing. The rest of the cast is forgettable, performance-wise, and stupid things like with the opening of a sex joke and then a boo scare. Someone really going and saying boo to scare us. horrible, god-awful CGI, and a pointless story. Especially doing it in the same title. Why can't you just call it Who Goes There? Or go by the original title they were going to go for, The Thing Begins. I rather prefer Who Goes There. That's what it's based on, the short story. I prefer Who Goes There, but people probably won't get it because, what is this film about? Oh, it's related to The Thing? Why couldn't they just... No. I hate this film to death. I hate this film so much. I rewatched it again, see if they anything improved, but no, it still stayed the same. Saw us back in the theater, and it was lucky that Harley Mason was there. Otherwise, I would have screamed "Boo! Boo!" and probably would have thrown stuff at the screen, and probably would have got kicked out of the theater. But why not? It's an awful film. I mean, I still wear this one because it's a great, in honor of this favorite horror film of all time. I still wear it. It's just, I love the film to death. This will always be a masterpiece, but this is by far from masterpiece. I'm glad this film flopped. Low 6.2. Why does it have such a high rating on IMDb? 6.2. 35% understandable, but it deserves lower. Why couldn't they just... I want to say, why is it they couldn't make a sequel? And also, by the way, I want to forget to mention about the ending. As they're getting out of the spaceship, Joel Edgerton says there's a Russian outpost 50 miles away. I never knew there was a Russian outpost. Nothing mentioned about that in this film. Why couldn't they just say, oh, there's an American outpost? Why couldn't they just say that instead of saying Russian? Because the only outpost out there is the American outpost. There's no... Why do they bring up the Russian thing? There's no Russian thing mentioned in this film. They should have said they should have said the American outpost. Characters are forgettable. Story is lame and pointless. The score, the guy who did the score was the guy who did the score for Live Free or Die Hard and A Good Day to Die Hard. Marco Beltrami, same guy who did the score for Live Free or Die Hard and A Good Day to Die Hard. The score is I like the score for Live Free or Die Hard. The score to Good Day to Die Hard was less par, like I said. But this score is very forgettable. The best part was hearing John Carpenter's theme at the end of the film. Like I said, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's trying, but she's doing nothing but being a Ripley ripoff. Kills, not creative, not inventive. But like I said, badly done CGI. There were animatronics, but they glossed it over. So you might as well just not do practical effects at all if you're just doing everything CGI. The effects in this film, nothing compares. It's comparing apples and oranges. You obviously can tell what effects are much better, much more groundbreaking than in this film. Masterful, groundbreaking, top-notch effects. From the mutated dog thing, to the Norse thing, or the Blair thing at the end of the film, or the Palmer thing. Yeah, they did taking stuff like the flamethrower not working, or they're going to do the blood test, but instead they use teeth fillings, which I think is dumb anyway. But they were going to do the blood test so they couldn't copy it, so they decided to burn it. Or I think I said the flame. I think I already said that the flamethrower not working. And I'm trying. I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna go on 45 minutes. This thing. I gotta stop this right here. Okay? Otherwise, I'm just getting. And also, they're also gonna. They also did reshoots, but it was gonna release on April 15th, 2011. But I guess because including new CGI effects, re-editing scenes. Yeah, all that did not help the film at all. So yeah, all that didn't help. All those reshoots didn't help the film at all. Like I said, it's some of the worst CG I've seen. It just sucks when you see horrible CG in this film, compared to the masterful and awesome top-notch effects in this film. This is sad that when you watch a film, which one looks better? 35 years later, yeah, of course, obviously still better. You got much likable characters and badass liners and better gore and blood and all that. Kurt Russell kicks a lot of ass. So yeah, I'm done with this film. I'm stopping. Just watch this masterpiece instead, and please stay away from this film. Ignore this film. It's a useless prequel, useless story. I'm done with the film. Film sucks. It's garbage. It's trash. Everything in the book. Nothing. I said a few things I liked about the film. I was probably said the best thing about the old Universal logo than the "Who Can It Be Now" and the John Carpenter's theme. Everything else is completely forgettable and worthless. So yeah, I'm going to bed right now because I'm about to fall asleep. Because this film made me fall asleep. I was bored out of my mind while watching it. So yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this rant. Like I said, it's an insult to my favorite horror film of all time. Always be my favorite horror film. Watch this masterpiece instead. Just watch that masterpiece instead. So yeah. But anyway, yeah. The theme prequel. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned on the next movie review. Later.